Move on to the first person of the day. Now, we get as our keynote speaker, this is Professor Ray Sheriff, Head of Electrical Engineering within the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, the Faculty of Engineering and Informatics. Ray joined the university as a lecturer 25 years ago and has been Professor of Electronic Engineering since 2002. Ray, if you'd like to join us, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. First of all, I'd say it's an honour to be able to open this conference today for the Society of Broadband Professionals. I'm just thinking 25 years has been quite a lot of change since I started working at the university, and much of that is to do with telecommunications. Now we've moved away from the narrowband technologies to broadband, so it's a very timely conference, always continuously developing our broadband theme. The title of the talk, essentially, I was giving it really Transformation of a Connected World, but it's a very good title in that it really tells us just how much broadband communications has transformed society, and we think back to how we've changed in the last 10, 15 years. And a lot of that is to do with broadband communications. If you look at the UK, I put UK a connected nation. I was going to put a question mark there, but I decided to delete that question mark. That'll be a more positive note to start. If you look at the UK now, we have 23.7 million fixed residential and SME broadband connections in the UK. That's by the end of 2014. These statistics tend to lag a bit. They're produced by Ofcom. But it gives you an idea of just how much penetration we have now in the UK for broadband technology. We're spending now 31 hours browsing online per month. That's quite an amount of time when you think about it. What did we used to do with those 31 hours before we had broadband communications? That's the question. And average speed of 22.8 megabits per second, that's what's being quoted. But I did a bit of work. When I was looking at this at the weekend, I found the BBC website very useful. I don't know if anybody looks at their technology site, but there was a new article on the website called Broadband. Let's go to there. UK hits broadband target maybe, which I thought was quite a nice way to put it. And if you look at the statistics, you see that we see now we're getting this super fast connection of 90% of homes connected in the UK. But it's always the comments, I think, at the end that's really interesting. And this generated 630 comments over the weekend on the BBC website, which really tells us about how the public react to this sort of comment. And you'll see various things. Most people are dissatisfied with the speed of connection that they've got, especially in the rural communities. And it's quite interesting. Can anybody why non-business users need more than 5 megabits per second? I thought it was quite good. And this was quite a funny one. Did you see BT just bought EE? Have you just noticed that your broadband must be really slow? Which I think that was about 6 months ago, wasn't it? So it's you can see people. There's definitely a disparity in terms of the coverage of broadband communications in the UK. It's not a question now that we've suddenly all got 22.8 megabits per second and we're all downstreaming information as fast as we can. There's a real change, and this is to do with the reliance on copper in some areas and the difference between the FTTH availability in different parts of the world. So it's a good picture in the UK, but it's perhaps not as great as what we think in all parts of the world. A lot of this technology, broadband technology, is driven by the smartphone technology. And we've seen a massive acceleration now. If you compare the acceleration if you look at the take-up of second generation mobile in the 90s, and look at how 4G has really penetrated the UK population very quickly. By the end of, first quarter of 2015, we're looking at 23 million 4G subscribers in the UK. 23 million is, I think in total we have 60 million population, but we have a penetration much higher than 100%. But it just shows you how quickly these technologies are taking off now. driven by smartphone technology. 90% of households now have internet access. These are facts from the Ofcom. So 90% of us have internet access now. And if we look at the ITU's ICT Development Index, we're actually ranked 4th in the world in terms of our ICT development. So we're in good shape as far as our technology is concerned. There's only places like Korea and the European sort of Denmark and Iceland really pushing broadband technology. That outstrips the UK at the moment. So we're in good shape. If we look at the connected world, because our technology really touches on all themes, we have 3.2 billion internet users around the world by the end of 2015. So if we look at our planet, that's a massive 46% of the world's homes now have broadband internet access. In the developed countries, places like in Europe, we've seen 80% of the world developed areas have broadband communication, internet to the home. And we have a massive 7 million subscribers on mobile. Virtually everybody on the planet's got a mobile phone now. 97% penetration rate. This compares with a fixed broadband access of 11%. What we're seeing in certain parts of the world is that wireless technology is driving the rollout of broadband communications, especially in the developing parts of the world. We see this in places like Africa. It's a lot easier to roll out a 4G network than where it is to put in cable. It's as simple as that. So we've seen a change in the developing parts of the world, or a reliance for the wireless communications, which is perhaps less so in the developed parts of the world. GSM technology is still important. 95% coverage around the world is still an important technology. We can't just discount GSM because it's been around now for 25 years. So it's still an important part of the telecoms coverage, although perhaps it doesn't provide the broadband technology that we would hope for in the room. And if you look at the fixed broadband plan, it's 1.7 times more expensive than a mobile, so you can see why it's more attractive for developing countries from an economic perspective. Now, I think part of what I want to do today is to look forward to the next 4 or 5 years. Look at the 2020 framework, because that's really going to change how we're going to move the technology forward. We're seeing now the emergence of Internet of Things and big data. It's really starting to take shape now. It's been around for about 10 years, but we're seeing now the new technologies, the increased provision of things like IPv6, the rollout of sensor technology. We're now starting to get this global infrastructure of wireless sensors, the Internet of Things, the big data analytics, generating more information, helping us improve how we live, how we go about our daily lives. This is generating lots of traffic. We see by 2020 estimates for connections, 25 billion connections from the ITU, up to something like 50 billion from Ericsson. So these are massive a number of connections. One of the areas that's driving this new technology is machine-to-machine communications. This is a new area that's emerging. How we can create device-to-device communications. This is going to account for maybe 10 to 20% of all broadband communications traffic by 2020. So it's not just about the human interface to technology, it's about technology talking to technology. And things like automotive, if we look at how automotive engineering is developing, the cars without the driverless cars, these are all going to be reliant on machine-to-machine communications to some extent to control their activity. We're seeing satellite communications. Satellite communications is an important part of the broadband agenda, especially in areas that are not so well covered by fixed communications. We've talked about broadband to rural areas, and if we look at how satellite communications works with their umbrella coverage, it's a natural provider of broadband communications. And we're seeing things like rural and urban areas are benefiting. We're also seeing land, sea and air. We've got a presentation for now later talking about the aeronautical communications agenda and how that's changing. They're really the last island of communications. If you want a quiet flight, you can forget about that by 2020. It's going to be, you're going to be on your Facebook by then, I think, if you use that. So And we have other things like multi-spot beam, high-power satellites. We're moving up in frequencies to K-bands technology, maybe even EHF higher 40, 50 gigahertz and all that implies. The other area, of course, is 5G mobile, set to roll out by 2020. Downlink rates of 1 gigabits per second. We think about where we started in 1991 with GSM at 9.6 kilobits per second, and now we're looking at 1 gigabits per second mobile by little as 4 years' time. There's even talk of using it in the Winter Olympics in 2018 as a test. Interesting now that this is being driven by the likes of Huawei and Samsung. So we're seeing the Chinese and the Koreans dominating the drive to the broadband mobile sector. If we go back to GSM, it was very much a European-dominated system. Now we're seeing the move to the east with the broadband technology. So where do we see the future applications for broadband communications? Smart city living is a big area of technology that's going to come through now. Really, we've talked about the Internet of Things and big data analytics. This is really going to help our cities sort of function much better, provide a much safer environment for us to live, a socially inclusive environment where different elements of the society can move around in a safe and welcoming environment. More sustainable living space. We're going to see much more urbanization in the coming years as people move, especially. Well, we're seeing this in the developing parts of the world where people are moving into the big cities, and this is smart city living is really going to change the environment. Digital healthcare is something that there's a lot of work being done now at Bradford. We've seen that we have now the Digital Health Enterprise Zone, and we're seeing now technology-assisted healthcare really is attracting a lot of interest. I think I saw yesterday there was on the BBC Breakfast there was I don't know if anybody saw the virtual reality demonstrator where they were talking about using it for improving people with dementia, how they can replicate the home environment as they move around. Smart devices, some of us will have Fitbits, when we do exercise. These things are coming through now, and we're seeing now how technology can improve the healthcare. It's an aging society, and that's putting more pressure on the likes of the NHS, and we have to look at how we can use technology as a way of helping manage our health. Education is another area we're looking at, technology enhanced learning. You may have seen this new move to massive online, open online courses, MOOCs courses, freely available courses produced by some of the top universities in the world, all facilitated through broadband communications, and these are available really to anywhere in the world, and it's opening up education, quality education on a free basis. It's proven very popular. Transportation is a key element. We're going to see in intelligent transport systems. We're starting to see these things gradually rolling out in the UK now, with the intelligent motorways, how we change the speeds of our motorways according to traffic. We've now got the driverless automobiles coming on stream. Again, facilitated by this M2M communication, machine-to-machine communication technologies, which are going to take off in the next 3 or 4 years. And entertainment and work. This is the other area that's going to really drive our business in broadband technology. You're seeing if we go back to the BBC website, our people are really keen to get this broadband technology. They want to stream information. It's going to change how we watch TV in the next 5 years. We're not going to be relying on the schedule that's provided. It's going to be much more of the on-demand technologies. And people want reliable technology for their entertainment and for their business. So these are the areas that I thought really are going to dictate the research agenda and how we're going to change society. It's a very exciting time, I think, for people involved in the industry. There's massive changes in society we'll see in the next few years. So in conclusion, I would say it's an insatiable global demand for broadband communications. people want broadband, they want faster technology all the time, just like computers. Everything's faster, they want more bandwidth. Really, it's been driven by advances in broadband technologies that are creating new services and applications. We're seeing these new ideas, driverless cars, new health technologies, new ways of learning, really brought about by broadband technologies. Couldn't have done that with 20 years ago. I've said it's a challenging, exciting time for us to be in the broadband industry. And really, as we move to the next transformational phase of a connected world, it's really going to see a big change in society in the next 5 years. Thank you for your attention. I hope you have a good day in Bradford. And thank you very much.